Well, friends, this is the week. This is the week of Nintendo's annual investors meeting. May 7th, less than 48 hours away, is where they will have to show up and maybe show out. Will they tell investors about new games to get them excited? Will they tell them about a new console, the much hyped and anticipated Switch 2? Or have they already told investors? Because today we have new information that shows, yes, they've already told their biggest investors about the next system. Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Hope you're all having a fantastic weekend. Nintendo actually dropped a new Luigi's Mansion 2 trailer as well, so let's talk about that for a minute. Before we do, though, today's the last day of Amazon Gaming Week, so if you do want to grab one of these super sweet and newly sped up Lexar Play cards for your Nintendo Switch, click the link in the description down below. You got the best prices, super sales, huge discount on the 1TB card, and huge discount on the 256 gig card. Both come superstar recommended from me. It is the best memory card you can give your Switch. It's safe, it's fast, it's secure, and it's the best way to prepare for the future of bigger Switch games. Now, Luigi's Mansion 2 may not be a bigger Switch game, but it is looking pretty nifty, and Nintendo dropped the intro for the game called Rude Awakening as a trailer. So if you want to see a couple of things, one, the setup for Luigi's Mansion 2, and two, how this game looks compared to Luigi's Mansion 3, this is a great opportunity to do so. Now, I'm personally kind of excited for Luigi's Mansion 2 because I do know this one is more level-based, and something about that actually interests me as opposed to the giant, more sprawling mansion. I mean, both have their perks and both have their positives, but I didn't play much Luigi's Mansion 2, so I am definitely pumped to dive in, although Paper Mario is where my heart lies. That game is out in less than 3 weeks, which is a freaking great. That deserves a wahoo. But if you are a fan of Luigi's Mansion, you are getting some gold, and a new trailer is a nice way to kick that off. Now, the investors meeting kicks off, like I said, in less than 48 hours, and so much of the discussion has been, what will Nintendo say to appease these people that think all they have is Paper Mario and Luigi's Mansion? Those are two titles that, while fun for fans, don't inspire a ton of confidence from the shareholders' perspective. Nothing super huge, nothing super major, and most importantly, nothing on the outlook. The only game that's listed besides these two is Metroid Prime 4, and that has a TBA release date, and it has for the last 7 years. Nobody knows when that's coming out, although I would put my marbles on this year. So what does Nintendo do at this investors call to assure their people that, hey, things are okay? Most people assume they're going to make some mention of the Switch 2, but today I found out that they already have. And this completely changes my perception and my prediction for what they talk about on Tuesday. I don't know that they're going to mention anything about the Switch 2 because they've spoken with 400 shareholders already in private. All right, we have this governance report that was shown off by Nintendo Forecast, and this is very, very interesting. All right, they have spoken with approximately 400 individuals and group meetings combined with shareholders and institutional investors. This means that they have already talked to some of their biggest financiers, some of their biggest, most important people, and some of the people that would be most concerned with Nintendo's future. But just meeting with them, who knows? Maybe they just told them, hey, we've got a new Mario movie, like Miyamoto said on Mario Day. Maybe they discussed plans for Epic Universe at Universal Studios Orlando, where they're opening Super Nintendo World in mid-2025. But no, we actually know the topics that they covered and talked about. And this is where it shows they've already spoken. All right, the main dialogue topics and matters of interest to investors that Nintendo themselves lists are financial results overview and business outlook. Okay, that seems very generic. They can spin that however they want. Business momentum of Nintendo Switch. All right, how things are going. That could even involve maybe a little bit about their projected software lineup, although I would guess nothing specific. Not like, oh, we've got game X, Y, and Z, but we're planning on releasing multiple first-party titles in the second half of 2024. So fear not, have no worries, we got you covered. But then the next bullet point is the big one. The next game console and business impact of a hardware transition. Now, this could cover very little or it could cover a very lot. Nintendo has very big, important shareholders, and I believe that they feel they could trust them with sensitive information. This isn't like reaching out to MobilePad about accessories and having them blow the lid on your system. This is people who would not risk their relationship or their investment with Nintendo by spilling the beans. So when Nintendo says they've talked about the next game console and business impact of a hardware transition, with nearly 400 meetings, okay, they have probably mentioned this next console to at least some of them. They go on to say IP strategy, including the visual content business, capital policy, ESG, and sustainability initiatives. All that stuff is great meat and potatoes, but it's the next game console and the impact of a hardware transition that we're interested in. Now, they could talk in generic terms about, hey, we've got everything planned out, don't worry, this is going to happen, but I have to imagine at some point in this conversation, they are asked specific details or they are requested to give more information. If they're having meetings and not just a call, that means it's a dialogue, right? That means it's back and forth, and they are talking about the next game console and the transition. And inevitably, they're going to be giving some info that's more than just like, maybe there's a new console. So they have definitely confirmed to some of these 400 investors and groups in their meetings that, yes, we're working on the next console, which means they don't have to say it at the May 7th investors call. If they've already told their biggest head honchos, their most important shareholders, hey, we're working on the next Switch, don't worry, we're very concerned about the transition and we're putting things into place. Maybe they even gave them some figures like, hey, we've invested this much money in first party development. We have laid out this many months worth of releases. Maybe they even said, hey, we've got X number of first party games for the launch window of this system. Maybe they even told these shareholders when this system intends to launch via a window. I don't think they gave them specific names of titles. I don't think they gave them the specific date of the system launch. I don't think they showed them a picture of the Switch 2. But I think they definitely did inform many of these shareholders, hey, we're working on the next console, and hey, here are some of the things we're doing to ensure that this is a smooth transition and that this works out well for us, for you, and for everybody. They might have even discussed price point as something that investors would be extremely curious in, given that it involves the dollars and cents of the business. Now, Nintendo has been very secretive, and it behooves them to keep that secrecy going. The more that they let out, the more that gets let out, as we've seen, floodgates open and things begin to pour. So if Nintendo is not yet in full-on manufacturing, they probably will not full-on announce this thing. They probably will not even mention this thing. And therefore, if Nintendo does not mention the Switch 2 at the May 7th meeting, do not take that to mean there is no Switch 2 coming, and do not take that to mean that there is no Switch 2 coming soon. Does it mean that it's coming in 2024? Probably not. But could it still appear in Q1 2025? Absolutely. What is the benefit of Nintendo announcing right now when they could instead wait until after the next Direct, until they do reveal the rest of their Switch 1 lineup, and then they can start hyping up the Switch 2 console once it's entered manufacturing and once they have all of their deals and timetables locked in place. That seems to be the most likely scenario right now, is actually they don't mention it since they have talked about it before with investors, and we wait and see what comes of this summer. I still believe there's a small chance Nintendo does go forward with a massive reveal. No matter what documents we see, no matter what rumors we receive, you don't know until Nintendo actually does it. They are a mysterious, quirky, and sometimes crazy company that makes unique decisions that not always make a lot of sense. So they could do something that is off their rocker. They could do something that is perfectly logical, but we will have to wait and see. I just find it fascinating that they already have discussed the next game console with numerous shareholders and many, if not most, of their biggest, most important investors. Therefore, May 7th becomes far less important. When I found this out, I was like, May 7th means almost nothing if they've already conducted all of these meetings, and we'll probably be waiting until the next Direct, which could theoretically pop up in May. They're not tied to June because there's no E3. They're not registered Summer Games Fest big, paraphernalia spillers. So they could do May, they could do June, they could do July. We'll have to wait and see, and I do hope there is some interesting information at this investors call. And hey, they could mention it. They could go forward and want to really set the tone. They could mention that they have a bunch of games. I don't think they'll give specifics on anything, no names, no IP, no nothing of that sort, but they could give something to give us an outlook. And there will definitely be interesting notes in their Q&A because Furukawa always comments and always gives some details, so that will be fun to look at and see. But don't expect a Switch 2 reveal. Don't expect them to even say they're working on the next console because they already have. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments down below, everybody. And remember, Amazon Gaming Week ends today, so if you want to grab one of those Lexar Play cards, click the link in the description down below. Every time you do, it helps support the channel. I super appreciate it. So thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until next time, SwitchForce out.